Imagine losing 2 strikers at once and then seeing your main goal scorer thinking about leaving. That's right, Newcastle is going through tense days, and this could be the bombshell that completely changes the future of our attack. I'm Rodrigo, and you're watching Newcastle Mania, the channel made by fans, for fans, who live and breathe Newcastle United. You blinked, and Newcastle is making headlines everywhere. And look, before we get to that news that could shake the very foundations of the club, there are 2 hot updates you also need to know about. Oh, and let me say this. The other day, some Chelsea fans showed up in the comments, saying Newcastle's channel doesn't grow because our fan base is small. Let's show them who the real black and white supporters are. If you love Newcastle and want to see this club flying higher than ever, hit that subscribe button now. It costs nothing and makes all the difference. Let's shut them up together. News 1. Elliot Anderson shines away from Newcastle. To start with, let's talk about a name that many Newcastle fans still hold close to their hearts. Elliot Anderson. Remember him? The youngster from our academy, always seen as one of the club's brightest prospects. But unfortunately, because of those pesky PSR rules, Newcastle had no choice but to sell him. And the important thing is, it wasn't because they wanted to, but because there was simply no way around it. And guess what? Today, far from St. James Park, Anderson is absolutely flying. Wearing the Nottingham Forest shirt, he's playing at an incredibly high level, taking responsibility and becoming a key player for the team. He's playing with confidence, boldness, and people are already saying he deserves a chance with England's senior squad. And that's no exaggeration. He had an outstanding U21 Euros, showing maturity, technique, and a lot of personality. Now, full of confidence, Anderson openly talks about his dream of playing in a World Cup, sharing a dressing room with names like Declan Rice, Bellingham, and Harry Kane. Imagine that, a kid who came through Newcastle's academy so close to making a dream like that come true. There's a very interesting detail in all this. Elliot himself admitted that leaving Newcastle was a huge shock. Nobody expected it to happen. But at the same time, he recognizes that it turned out to be a major step for his career. At Forest, he's getting minutes, space, and today is a starter in big games, something that might have taken longer if he'd stayed at Magpies. The tough part, and every Newcastle fan knows this, is that every time he steps onto the pitch and shines, it hits hard. The pain of losing a homegrown talent because of financial restrictions. It's impossible not to think about how Anderson could be helping Newcastle right now, especially at a time when the squad needs young, decisive players with energy and a real connection to the club. And here's a reflection. Will Newcastle ever manage to bring Anderson back? Or is this just another one of those stories where we nurture talent, lose them, and only get to see them shine somewhere else? News 2. Transfer market heats up with Nkunku. Now let's talk transfers, because this is a topic every Newcastle fan loves. Who might be coming in to wear the black and white? And the name on everyone's lips right now is none other than Christopher Nkunku, the Chelsea forward, who is starting to gain momentum behind the scenes as an option to strengthen the Magpies' attack. Here's the situation. Newcastle had been pushing for Yoane Wissa from Brentford, but that deal has completely stalled. Brentford are asking for an eye-watering fee, far beyond what's realistic. And to make things worse, Wissa is clearly frustrated with the whole saga, even going so far as to remove all mentions of the club from his social media. The atmosphere has soured, and the chances of that deal happening are looking slimmer by the day. Enter Nkunku as the alternative. The Frenchman is a name everyone knows for the incredible talent he showed at RB Leipzig. In Germany, he was a goals and assist machine, a versatile forward who could play as a false 9 or out wide, quick, creative, and one of the most promising players in European football. However, since moving to Chelsea, things haven't gone quite as smoothly. Nkunku has been hit by a series of injuries that have disrupted his adaptation to the Premier League. This meant he never had a consistent run in the team, and naturally, he hasn't performed anywhere near the level he showed in Leipzig. Chelsea, on the other hand, seem willing to let him go this summer and have set a price, around £43 million. Here's the key point. Newcastle are not alone in this race. Bayern Munich and Inter Milan are also keeping a close eye on Nkunku. These are European giants with the power to act fast, which could complicate any attempt by the Magpies. This means that if Newcastle truly want the Frenchman at St. James Park, they'll have to move quickly, put an offer on the table, and decide whether to take the gamble on a player who has already shown what he can do, but whose fitness is still a concern. At the end of the day, Nkunku is a kind of bet that carries risk, but if it pays off, it could take Newcastle's attack to a whole new level. After all, we're talking about a creative, explosive player who, when fit, can decide any game. The question is, will Eddie Howe and the board take the risk, or will they look for someone else in the market? News 3, Isaac may leave and Newcastle eye 2 strikers. And now, we've reached the heaviest news of the day, the one keeping so many Newcastle fans awake at night. Alexander Isak, quite simply the star of the team, could be very close to saying goodbye to St. James Park. The Swede isn't hiding it from anyone. He wants to wear the Liverpool shirt. And that, of course, sets off a massive red alert inside the club. But here's the crucial detail. Newcastle will only let Isaac go if they manage to sign 2 powerful new strikers. Otherwise, his departure makes absolutely no sense. The pressure has only increased after Callum Wilson left for West Ham. This has left the squad even thinner in attack, and the board is racing against time to strengthen the front line. The problem? The transfer market is being harsh on Newcastle. Several targets have already slipped through the club's fingers. Liam Delap and Joao Pedro went to Chelsea, strengthening a direct rival. Hugo Ekitike, once seen as a big opportunity, ended up at Liverpool. Benjamin Sesko, another high-profile name, signed with Manchester United. And even the negotiations for Yoane Wissa from Brentford have basically stalled, with no progress in sight. So, the list of frustrations keeps growing, and the fans are getting more and more concerned. But in the middle of all this drama, a new name appears as hope: Jorgen Strand-Larsen, striker for Wolves. Is 24, scored 14 goals in last season's Premier League, and has already proven to be a very consistent player. When he was bought from Celta de Vigo, he cost around £23 million, and importantly, he's reportedly interested in playing for Newcastle. This changes everything, because now the ball is in the board's court. The next step is to negotiate directly with Wolves and try to close a deal. If Larsen arrives, he could be the first push Newcastle needs to go after another striker and only then allow Isaac to move to Liverpool. But here's the big fear. If the club fails to bring in reinforcements, there's a huge risk of losing their main player without having a proper replacement. It would be a massive blow, both to the squad and to the fan confidence. So, the situation is clear. Either Newcastle acts fast and secures these signings, or the team could start the season without Isaac and without a replacement. And my friends, that would be a disaster. Now, fans, I want to hear from you. If Newcastle managed to sign 2 top-class strikers like Strand-Larsen, would you let Isaac go, or would you do everything to keep him in the squad? It's a tough decision, because on one hand the club could gain more attacking options, but on the other, they'd lose one of the most decisive players of recent years. So comment down below. I really want to know what the fans think about this situation. That was a summary of today's 3 main Newcastle news stories. But stay tuned, because the transfer market is just getting started, and the coming days promise to be intense, full of negotiations, rumors, and maybe even a few unexpected shocks. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button, ring the bell, and follow every update that could change the future of our club. On this channel, we bring everything simply, directly, and always from fan to fan. Newcastle is in a crucial moment, and the fans need to be with the team every step of the way. Stick around, because the next chapters are going to be electrifying, and you won't want to miss a thing.